Sup, I'm James. I'm not Pablo. This is Mike. This is Mike, whichever direction I have to point. He doesn't have a camera because he's poor, but he's going to be joining. I mean, not poor anymore, not if the sun running, but he's going to be joining us for a MLB breakdown. I'm sure that people are excited to hear his thoughts on things. We will be joined by old man Pablo, who should have been here. Actually, fun fact, for those who are not in the Discord, we did try to do a Discord slate talk just for the first 20 people who would show up, and Pablo took so goddamn long to join that he actually got locked out of his own slate talk. So instead I set up a stream, and we can stream it, we can do it live. So I'm gonna be breaking down the MLB main slate today. We are going to be joined by Pablo here in a second, who I assume is going to be here in 30 seconds. But until then, Mike and I will bullshit, talk a little bit about some of the MLB slate as I see it, and then Pablo and Mike will take it away. So, Mike, without further ado, what are you doing with your newfound riches?
I haven't done anything yet. Everything I kind of already have is sort of paid off already, so I don't really know what I want to do yet.
You're so boring.
I'm sorry.
So boring. What? Just go fucking buy a Lamborghini or some shit.
Well, I won't even buy an iPad for August yet. So
yeah, I mean, so Mike was asking me about the live final stuff the other day, because he has punched 2 tickets to the live final as well as hitting for 100K the other day. For those who don't know, for those who have not been watching, but he's been stuttering lately, and he was he was asking me how we build for live finals and where you do it, and you just build in your hotel room. For those who don't know about live finals, you just end up going and you're in your hotel room, then you just build your lineups, and then you go and just go to the event, right? It's really cool, it's really fun, but you have your laptop or whatever. For me, when I went to live final, because I still had to work, obviously run models for all the sites and shit, I had to bring a high-end laptop, so I bought specifically a high-end laptop to bring with me. Mike probably doesn't need that, but he's still saying he hasn't bought fucking anything for the trip. And dude, just go buy something. I suggest that you go buy a nice laptop. It feels nice to have that, even if you're not going to use it all the time. But before we get back to Mike's response on that, what's up, Pablo? How you doing, bud? How you fucking doing? Was your Mike, nap good?
Wait, first of all, can we get Mike a camera with his winnings?
I already made that joke.
Yeah, I've been holding off on the updated computer and stuff too.
Well, Mike also doesn't want everyone he works with to know he's a multimillionaire now, so it's part of the problem.
Multi-millionaire.
Multi-thousandaire.
Yeah. I am doing well. Happy to see you guys. I was deeply asleep on my couch a few minutes ago. So I woke up and realized we were supposed to be on. So I apologize to people. I shouldn't have done that, but I'm at least functional now, and I was not functional before I slept.
Well, that's okay. That's fair. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure. I was not even planning on doing a stream. I just needed to satiate the people. But I mean, we're here, and yeah, it's raining, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to go to the gym. Speaking of the rain, those of you who are playing the early slate MLB, I do not think that slate is worth playing. I've had a couple of people ask me why it's not up. I think that both the San Diego-Pittsburgh game and the Washington-Cincinnati game are going to be canceled or postponed or whatever the fuck they're called. So I didn't even run it. But if you wanted to do that one, I would just suggest not, and just play the later turbos instead, which are, I mean, we have a lot of really good spots, a lot of spots to take advantage of on this slate. So really quick, one thing while we are getting into things, I did just rerun the models. The range of outcomes, I think, just finished, but the seed frames are still running. I ramped up the ownership on this 4K guy, this Hoagland kid, a lot, right? He was only projecting for 12% ownership. I just don't buy that. With the slate dynamics and with the way things work, Mike and I were kind of talking a little bit off camera about the way the slate looks. There are really no underpriced pitchers. Skubal is appropriately priced. Yamamoto is appropriately priced. Like Waka, even at 7,700 is like there are really no values. And because of that, I really just think that people are going to be like, oh, well, why wouldn't I just play this Hoglund kid in this match against Miami? It just feels like people are just going to jam him in. So I ramped his ownership up. He was 12% owned. I think when we see the models rerun here, he'll be somewhere in the 30% range, 25 to 30%, which I think is much more applicable. I think he'll be higher than that in smaller field or higher dollar stuff. So I just wanted to make that note really quick in case anybody has looked at the models or any of that stuff. So yeah.
Ray's pretty cheap.
I mean,
Ray, yeah, he's not a value. Not a value.
Well, he technically is, but he's going to be 37% owned, right? Like, I mean, he's one of the.
But there's nobody. You're right. There's nobody else below 8K. I mean, he's not even below 8K.
No, so he's 8,600, and we have the Yankees on this slate. Like, they're expensive. We have the Dodgers on this slate. They're expensive. People are going to be playing. People are going to be playing some expensive stuff. But I did also run 100 lineups over at RotoGrinders on base settings. And the stack that shows up the most is actually Kansas City. So I did also increase their ownership as well. Michael Massey was the highest exposed player in their 100 optimals at 98% owned.
The Royals have one good game and the Royals are chalk. That's good.
Yeah, they're going to be chalk now. So do with that all what you will. Mike, have you looked at the slate yet, or are we going to let Pablo kind of dictate things?
He can start.
Okay. All right. Well, Pablo, you fucking take it. I'll set up some models on my end as well while you kind of do a high level look down.
All right. So I'm going in here raw. I have not yet looked at the slate until right now, aside from just a quick gander to register like last night. So I'm going to share my screen with the sheets. And usually for those of you who have tuned in, the way I like to do this is I like to go through pitchers first in order of like opposing lowest run total to higher run total. And then, at least look at all the pitchers who are in good spots and any pitchers who project well in the sheets. And then after that, kind of do the opposite and go through the stacks to figure out, which pitchers we like. Oh shit, there's a double qualifier. Are you in that, Mike?
Yeah.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, the 12-22 or 20, 12-20, whatever.
All right. Well, I guess I have to play that.
I haven't even looked at this at the.
All right.
Oh my God, things are about to fill. Oh fuck. Okay, hold on.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I got distracted because I was sleeping and then I hadn't fully regged. So, all right, let's do it because let's try to shoot to do this like an hour to give people like an hour to build after we're done, which I think is a reasonable goal given it's a sizable slate. All right, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to be toggling between our research sheets and our projections, fan graphs, which I use sort of as like baseline / statistical sort of looks, and then I like to use Fantasy Labs as just my user interface until James copies it and builds his own. So ignore all the numbers on the Fantasy Lab site because they're meaningless. They're not helpful. Let me go to window share. All right, here we go. All right, so lowest opposing run total, Robbie Ray is first. Robbie Ray is Robbie Ray. From a true average standpoint, he doesn't look amazing, but it's worth pointing out, we know this, he's playing the Rockies, who have not been able to hit a left-hand bat this year. If we just take a quick look at them and sort by K percentage, you can see that they're the highest K percentage in the league, and they have the fourth lowest WRC plus. I mean, nothing has changed recently. If we just look at the last 2 weeks, they've been pretty bad too. And so the problem with Robbie Ray is that two problems with him. Number one, is if we look at him, he's all the way down here. So like he hasn't been that great. His Sierra and his XFIP for both of them are 4.5, and his K percentage is fine at 24. And he's just like very wild, right? He's got a 14% walk percentage. So that's the first problem with him, is that like his Sierra and XFIP are not amazing. He has a high walk rate. He's in a great matchup, and he's cheap, and he's underpriced for the matchup. And then you add on the fact that he's chalky, because if we go here, we look at median and we look at small field, large field ownership, he looks like by far the chalkiest pitcher. So I guess what I would say with this is like, clearly he's got a good projection. You can look, he's got a good 2x. He's got a good 3x. They're both like up there to pretty much like for anybody over 7.5 8K, the best. Aside from like Chris Bassett, who's up there, we'll talk about him. But he's going to be chalk, and he's going to walk a bunch of dudes, and he could get there. But there's reason to believe he also, I don't know. I like it. I mean, it's a long way of saying I like it, but it's not without any risk, because he's just not that good and he walks a lot of guys. But Mike, what do you think?
He's definitely dangerous because it's always, Robbie Ray walking a lot of people, like you said. I think the Rockies are hard to walk. So I think he could still be fine. There's always just volatility with him because he always has a walk issue generally. But Rockies in that park, he'll probably be okay.
Yeah, I think for small field, it's perfectly fine. But just be aware he's chalky, and be careful eating in the chalk stack, especially for larger field. So let's keep moving. I don't think there's a whole lot else to say about him. He's 8.6K against them, and it's his range of outcomes is probably fairly wide, but it's a hard time believing he's going to get lit up. I think he's got a good chance of doing well. So I think he's okay chalk. He's fine chalk. Valdez against the White Sox next. Valdez is not a guy I always love playing. To be fair to him, he's been good. His K percentage is just never that amazing. I mean, he does have stealing games. He is occasionally like a guy who can really get there. But I don't know. He's like you could see here, he's got a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5 strike game, and he's given up runs in a lot of them. He got lit up in this game against St. Louis and against San Francisco. But then he's also got your 8K game and your 9K game. Granted, he got hit pretty hard against San Francisco. And he's going up against the White Sox, who we all love picking on for fair reason. It is worth pointing out that the White Sox, in the last few weeks, haven't been striking out a ton. I mean, you can see they're all the way down here in terms of K percentage. And, from a true average standpoint, he's, close to Robbie Ray. He's not amazing. So, I don't know, 8.8K, it's fine. I mean, it's not a spot that I think we necessarily want to pick on. He doesn't project terribly well. He looks somewhat owned. I don't know. I'm not terribly excited about it. To me, it's not a huge priority, but I'm happy to hear differently if you disagree.
Yeah, I'm not ever really huge on him just because, like you said, he kind of is just like an average fantasy pitcher. Obviously, pretty good real life pitcher. He just gets a lot of ground ball outs when he's on. But the White Sox have been pretty spicy the last couple weeks or so. They got this Medroth kid back who basically doesn't strike out and is very patient and has a pretty decent walk rate. Hits for average. I guess, Robert's always a threat, especially on the bases this year. And Yiner has given up a pretty decent amount of steals over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Their pitching staff as a whole, actually.
I'll go one step further and say you could do worse for value on this slate, given people are going to be punting to that pitcher.
Yeah,
I mean,
that and what James mentioned with Massey being the high, like if he's going to be that high, let's say just based on RG's thing, as a second baseman, Medroth is 200 less leading off, and has been playing better than Michael Massey. Like Michael Massey, although I like that guy when I play out Royals, has been horrific this year. I think he has like 2 hits. So
Yeah,
if
they're
that guy's
just
going to
really
be
cheap.
20% owned and Medroth is leverage and way less owned.
I mean, look, and what's nice about them is they've got Cuero at catcher that's always weak, projecting really well.
Yeah, that kid's pretty
Medroth batting leadoff at 2,500. Vargas up there at the top of the lineup with them too.
Vaughn.
All these guys project really well. Vaughn. So yeah, I think we should kind of put a little note in our heads of White Sox in play as a value stack. And consider them as a mini or as a value stack. I know it's gross, but a slate where we know there's a bunch of pay up pitchers and they're just really cheap and they're not Vargas, Medroth, Cuero, Robert are not bad players.
Yeah, definitely a decent value mini stack. I probably wouldn't 5-man them obviously because it is the White Sox and Houston's not a terrible pen or anything. So
yep. So Skew is next.
I did really
go
want
ahead, James.
Yeah, I did really quick want to also note, like, they have been better lately. They're averaging about 3.1 or 3.4 runs per game. I think I'm looking at the matchup sheets right now. 3.44 average score. And over their last 5, they've averaged 5.2 runs. Their trending score is not terrible. So they're 8+4 actually. They've scored 8+ runs 16% of the time. And over the last 5 games, 2 of those have had 8 or more runs. So they're trending 8+ of 26% is right behind Boston at 31% and right behind Atlanta at 31%. It's above a lot of other teams. So I really do think that you could do way worse than putting a White Sox team together.
Yeah. They've also been pretty decent against lefties. Like some of their hitters are kind of almost like versus lefty specialists. Like Lenny Sosa's got some power against lefties. And Medroth, like I said, great contact guy, gets on base. Robert, obviously scary when he's not swinging at things that are 3 feet outside of the zone. Again, pretty decent mini.
Cool. Always nice when we find one of those, especially when they're probably going to be low owned because people just don't want to play them because they're bad. So Skew Ball is next. Skew Ball is obviously priced up pretty high, 10.5. We're not going to, you guys have looked at the slate more than I have. So it sounds like there's a bunch of pay up bats, which might make him a little more difficult to attain at his price, given there's really not a ton of value pitchers unless you put the Hodwin guy. But Skew is he's really good. I mean, he's been really good. He's sub 3 for the things we care about. He's striking out everybody. And the Angels are a bad team. The Angels in over the course of the year against lefties are the second highest K rate and the second worst production. And there's not a whole lot to be scared of on their team. So I don't think there's a whole lot to dislike about Skew Ball. I mean, the guy is a real ace. It's just 10.5K, and on a slate when you are gonna not have a ton of value guys that you love, it's just a matter of can you get to them with bats that you're happy with. And we just looked at the White Sox; they're really cheap. So maybe with like a Ray, you could still play like a cheap White Sox or something like that. And there's just not a whole lot to pick on here. I mean, he's had his game against Kansas City where he only struck out 4, and his first 2 games where he wasn't quite honed in yet. But really, this guy has been nails and is in a really good matchup. So I don't dislike anything about Skew Ball, and I'm not surprised whatsoever that the sheets have him as a really strong median and ceiling. I think he stands out as a guy who could really beat up on this Angels team.
Yeah, if he strikes out less than 8, I would be shocked.
Yeah, what's his K props?
8.
James, probably pretty high. 8.
7.5, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it just for a lot of these guys with the really good spots, it comes down to pricing, and that's those are the decisions you have to make because his ownership looks fairly significant. It's not Ray levels because it sounds like people want expensive bats. But he's not secretive.
No, I mean, if Kansas City bats are going to be popular, now I think that we're probably going to see some ownership on San Francisco bats. Like we're gonna see value stacks get the ownership here, and I think we're gonna see a lot of Skubal plus Ray, which tells me a couple things, right? Like one, if you're gonna use Skubal plus Ray, sounds like we are in agreement that you should probably use a White Sox mini instead of a Kansas City mini. And two, if you are able to build in a way that leverages one of those guys, right? I mean, like we want to use Skubal. Maybe just avoid the Skubal plus Robbie Ray combo if you plan on using Kansas City. I don't even think that Kansas City is a bad stack. Kramer sucks. But I would not use a Kansas City stack with Skubal and Ray. I think that's probably going to be overowned by quite a bit. I know that, Mike, we were talking about Kramer before we went live here, but but like that combo, I think Ray plus Skubal plus Kansas City is just going to be too much ownership. Too much ownership.
Yep. All right, so let's keep looking through these pitchers, and then we'll talk about some bats here after we've gotten through all the kind of good dudes. Max Fried is next. I can just tell you right off the jump that 9.5 for Max Fried, I'm probably never going to do it. No. Max Fried he's good, but he's just like I always say the same thing about him. He's a cash pitcher. He's not a GPP pitcher. He's 21% K percentage. He's good. I mean, he's a good pitcher. But the matchup is not bad. It's not great. It's not bad, but it's not something I want to like pick on. The Rays haven't been great recently, but they're not like a shitty team like the Angels are. I mean, they have been fairly bad. I don't know how much of this is matchup related. You can see their last 2 weeks, they've been pretty putrid. They've been cold.
They've been really bad against left-handed pitching.
Yeah.
The kid from the Royals and Max Fried basically no-hit them through 8 innings. Almost.
Yeah. Yeah, let's take a look at Fried, and because he did recently pitch against them. And in his defense, I mean, he has had more spike games so far this year than we're used to seeing from him. We know about the Detroit game where he struck out 11. He almost pitched a no-hitter in that game. Or maybe that was actually against Tampa Bay, and he went 7 in a third and then he got a hit, and then they took him out. But he only came, but you can still see, I mean, 3-2, so okay, 7-11, 6-4. I don't know. I mean, his projection is okay. It's not great. I mean, you can see he's not got the 2x or 3x of these guys. I mean, he's not in the 40 to 50 or 10% 3x range. He's significant.
I would find the $1,000 and somehow and just go to Skubal. If my hitters that I initially built landed on Max Fried, my next thing is, okay, how do I find $1,000?
Or how do you just drop 200 to Bassett, who projects for
that too? I was gonna get there when we get to Bassett, but that's another thing.
Yeah, as somebody yesterday, Mike, who played Barrios, who wasn't even on my radar yesterday, you and whoever else was
my
winning
cousin.
the late. Is that your cousin?
Tejas, yeah, I gave him a big breakdown of why I was going there on a 4-gamer.
But wasn't the guy that you talked about from LOL who he tweeted like?
Oh yeah, Matt Bellman. Yeah.
Didn't he also play Barrios?
Yeah, he played Barrios. I think it was either Barrios or Houck, and then he game stacked the Dodger or the Tigers in LA.
Yeah. All right, so let's look at Bassett. Bassett has been like super legit outside of last game, and he got BABIP'd hard last game. I know because I played him. It was against the Astros. Yeah. Well, maybe that's 2 games ago. But I mean, on the year, you can see he's sub 3 for CRNX FIP. He's got a 27% K percentage. He took a step up this year so far. Now, I think some people are skeptical that that's going to continue. In his defense, his last 2 games, Yankees are not a bad team by any means. Houston is a pretty tough matchup. I mean, I don't think they're a good team, but they're not a team that are easy to pick on with pitching. And then he killed Atlanta. He did good against Boston. He killed the Mets, and he had a good first start against Baltimore. He's been really good. His true average is very strong. And today he's going up against the Guardians. The Guardians historically aren't a high K percentage team. He's not a lefty; he's a righty. And on the year, you can see they're all the way down here. You know, they're below average strikeouts. I don't know how they've been trending. I haven't played them a ton, but yeah, I mean they've been pretty much the same. I mean they're sub 20% K percentage. He projects really well because he's really good, and so he is going to be. This is like an off. This is like a pivot. This is a pivot off of Ray or Skewball, right? I mean that's what it is. He projects really well at low ownership, and people probably won't want to play it just because, you know, Cleveland isn't a team that everyone's super excited to use a pitcher against.
Yeah, I think at 9,300, it's just one of those dead man's land spots for pricing where people are gonna like Mike said, people are gonna go up to Skewball instead of playing Bassett, or they're gonna go down to Ray instead of playing Bassett. But you can legitimately use Bassett over Skewball. I don't think there's any reason to do that. I don't think there's any reason not to do that, especially at 7% owned. And it'll give you $1,000 for whatever bat you want. I think as I was running things, I should probably also share my screen here. Anyway, so I ran contest sims, and the highest overall edges go to Chris Bassett and Tarek Skewball. So what the contest sims want to do is use Bassett over Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray is down here -7%. Now he still has, I think, the third highest exposure rate, right? I mean, 27%. There's nothing wrong with using Robbie Ray, but the models basically look at Chris Bassett as an upgrade on him. I also wanted to note really quick, -21% edge on Hoagland is not great. Now, the reason that he has such a negative edge is simply because the contest sims don't think that you need him, which is kind of pointing to, do we even really care about stacking the Yankees? I mean, I guess if we go to stack exposures, team exposures, yeah, models want to use San Francisco and Toronto. They don't even really care about the Yankees. So the contest sims don't see a reason for Hoagland. We'll talk about him in a little while. They do think that Chris Bassett is a great player. So I just wanted to point that out really quick using the models.
Cool. Yeah. So I think Bassett's is squarely in consideration as a pivot off of more owned guys like Robbie Ray. So Clay Holmes. So I've actually used Clay Holmes a bunch. He's a dude who I did not recollect being so good. In retrospect, he wasn't bad last year. This year, he's been really good. Last year, he actually wasn't that bad either. I don't know why I didn't. I mean, he wasn't good. What is he here? Maybe I'm misremembering.
He was
Maybe
a closer last year. That's why.
Yeah, he was a reliever.
He's a converted reliever, right? He's like this year's Garrett Crochet. So, yeah, I mean, the dude has been solid. He is going up against St. Louis. St. Louis played well this week, but overall in the year, they haven't been a terribly impressive team. St. Louis is like amidst like a rebuild. They've been sub 20% K percentage on the year against righties, and over the last couple of weeks they've been the same as they've been. So it's not a terrific matchup in terms of strikeouts. His true average, you can see, is really strong. I mean, he's one of the best on the slate, and you know, he projects fine. I mean, he projects well. He's 8,100. So this is another way you can pivot off Robbie Ray if you want, right? You can just drop 500. Or if you don't want to get all the way up to Bassett or Skewball or drop all the way down to the Hoagland guy, then you could consider Robbie Ray and Clay Holmes. It's interesting Clay Holmes won't be that owned because he's been good. I don't know. 8,100 is not a bad price at all for him. I mean, this isn't like a hard matchup. It's not a great matchup, but it's not a bad matchup. 8,100 is completely fair. He should arguably be closer to like 85, 86. So I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
He's decent. I'm not like thrilled about the St. Louis thing. I don't know if I really get there tonight, but I wouldn't, if I fell into that range, I wouldn't mind because he's been pretty good, and he's pretty much like a ground ball guy. They're in St. Louis, so it's not bad for pitching. So
he doesn't strike out nearly as many lefties. I'll say that. And Newbar is good. Donovan is decent. Brolson, Gorman are not bad. Victor Scott's respectable as they turn around the lineup guy at the bottom. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't disagree. I think he's interesting because he's unowned, and I think his price is totally fair. So if you need the savings and you don't want to drop all the way down, I think it's fine. He also projects well, which is nice.
Yeah, St. Louis averaging 3.84 runs over the last 25 games, or on the season, basically. Their last 10 games, 4.4, but their last 5, 3.6. So they're still par for the course, man. They're not a good team. Score between 3 and 4 runs per game. But Clay Holmes has been terrific. 8,100. I agree. I think that he should probably be Robbie Ray's price at the very least. So you do get a little bit of a savings there. And the reason why people aren't going to go there is just simply because they're going to play Robbie Ray, right? I mean, it's pretty simple, I think. So I like Clay Holmes a lot. I think there's a lot of builds you can make that are kind of like this mid-8 range, going Clay Holmes plus Robbie Ray, Clay Holmes plus Brian Wu, Clay Holmes. You know, you have a lot of these kind of 8K guys. If you really wanted to fuck around, I even think that in large field you go Clay Holmes plus Hogland, which I think gives you literally have all the money in the world for bats. So I like Clay Holmes a lot. I think he's underpriced.
Yeah. I do feel like he may be a slightly larger field play because of just like you kind of want skew ball array in smaller field. And I don't know. But I don't know. I mean, the price is what makes me feel better. I mean, I don't think the Cards are good by any means. You just pointed out they haven't scored a lot of runs. 8,100. I don't know. That's just too cheap. Like he should be like mid to upper 8s. He's not like I'm not saying he should be 9.5 or anything, but he should be 8.1. So next we have Sonny Gray. Actually, we have Clay Holmes next. Well, we just did Clay Holmes. We have Sonny Gray next. He is going up against the Mets. He doesn't project terribly well, and he's been fine. I don't know. I'm not gonna stack the Mets, but I'm not gonna pitch against the Mets either with Sonny Gray. There's just too many alternatives against worse teams. So I sort of feel like we can skip him unless, Mike, you disagree that you think he's.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm not picking Sonny Gray against.
Okay, so no. Yamo is next. Yamo is like super legit. I like watching him pitch. Look at him. He's better by the numbers than Skewball. The Braves are coming off a series in Coors, right? Is this their first game after Coors, or did they already have another game after Coors?
They've already had games.
What was that?
They've already had games. This is not their first.
Okay, this is not their first one. So yeah, I mean Yamo is just good. He has had some.
No, this is actually their first series after.
Oh, is it?
They had a day off on the first day.
Oh, okay. Well, I lied.
Okay. So, and by the way, they didn't do terribly well at Coors. I mean,
nope.
They lost people a lot of money because everyone kept using them, even though.
Yeah, they had the one game where they actually hit no home runs, and that's the game they scored 8.
Yeah.
And they had the game where they scored 6, and in the last game they scored 1.
Yeah. Yeah. So Yamo is just a pivot off Skewball, right? Because like the Braves are just a much scarier matchup than the Angels, and he's 200 less. So like virtually nobody's going to go from him and not just find 200 to get to Skewball. So I think it's really interesting as just like as a pivot off of Skewball. I mean, I think it's interesting. I mean, Yamo, like, to me, is kind of like a matchup proof guy, and the Braves aren't even that scary. So I don't know. I'm not scared to use Yamamoto. He's a guy that I would pitch in against almost any matchup. And yeah, so this is like a really interesting pivot off of Skewball. So I would, so far, the pitchers we've talked about, I mean, I don't disagree with the sheets on anything so far. I mean, Skewball is great in a great spot. Bassett is good in an okay spot. Yamo is great just because he's great in a okay spot. Ray is volatile and chalky, but in a good spot. Holmes will be unknown and he's underpriced, so he projects well. And we've said that we're not terribly excited about Max Fried, Gray, and Valdez, who we would consider stacking against with the White Sox. So I'm completely in line with those things. Let's just see if there's any of these other pay-up pitchers we should talk about, and then talk about the Hoagland guy, and then let's look at some bats. So good pitchers that we should talk about, either because they've been good or because they're in a good matchup or because they project well. Wu is up there, so let's talk about him. He's all the way up here, so he's worth talking about at 8,400. Joe Ryan, I suppose we should at least mention because he's had a couple ceiling games. And
do not pick Joe Ryan in this matchup.
Well, that's good. I don't want to play him anyway.
Well, no, I'm like, that's like a warning label. Like if you're like a box score watcher or anything like that, do not go, oh, this guy had 30 last game. Like, no.
Yeah.
This is not.
And then the other one is Ben Brown, who I think we should talk about because he's 7,500. I saw in his true average. He's the best true average on the slate, and I've used him a few times. And he's an interesting cheap guy because he projects pretty well. He's got 42% 2x, and he's only 7,500. So he's getting you some of those savings without going all the way down to the cheap guy. So let's look at Wu.
Me and James were talking about Ben Brown off camera before you got on. He looks great true average wise. As long as he can get around his walk problem in this matchup, I think he's actually really interesting. Because
let's talk about him now. Let's talk about him now.
He's a big dip from like Ray and Framber. So
no, he's significantly cheaper, right?
Yeah.
I used him 1 or 2 starts ago. He's young. He's not that young. He's 25, but he's a fairly early in his career. He has had some really nice games. I mean, he went 6 against the Dodgers and struck out 5 with no runs. He beat up on the D-backs, who are a really good team. I mean, he only went 4 innings that game, so not wonderful, but he still got there. He had a tough matchup against the Phils, and they beat him up. And then, I mean, he's gotten knocked around, so he's definitely got some risk involved. He clearly is giving up a lot more power to lefties than righties. We just saw his true average. He's just really cheap. The Brewers on the year against righties are, not striking out a ton. For some reason in my head, they were worse than that.
That was last year. Last year they were heavily strikeout against lefties.
Yeah. So they haven't, and they do. They're probably. I mean, they're a very lefty heavy lineup, right? So we know that. They've got Trang, Yelich, Frelick, Bowers. I respect the Brewers. I think they're good. I don't know that I'll get there, but I think given his price, and this is where people sometimes get tripped up on the sheets. Like when you're playing a guy below 8K or 7.5K or so, you do want a good median and a good ceiling, but really you're playing them usually for the savings they're giving you to get to the bats you want. So the fact that his 2x is 43% and nobody has that until you start to get up closer to 8 or 8.5K, right? Like Wu, Holmes, Ray, the guys we already talked about. It just, the fact he's 7,500 with good games under his belt are interesting. But it's definitely risky. I mean, that they have good lefties, and to your point, Mike, he does have a 10% walk rate, right? So I don't know. I could see it definitely going sideways. I'm a little scared to do it. I don't know that I'll do. I'm probably only going to play 2 lineups, and I don't know that I get there, but I think it's ballsy to do it. I could see you doing it because you've got bigger balls than I do.
If I somehow need it, and I feel I really, really need it, I know the risk involved, because there's even a risk just with how sporadic he is around the zone. Even if he doesn't walk them, that he runs his pitch count up regardless, even with the strikeouts. that he's risky to even get to 5 innings, but he's gotten 15, 16, 17 points in the past, like in less than 5 innings. So if you think Ray dies, he's like a great drop off from there.
He's kind of Ray light, right?
Yeah,
they both,
right. He's right-handed Robbie Ray, pretty much.
Yeah, that's fair. Only really cheap.
Yeah, cheaper.
Yeah, he's cheaper. But like even with that strikeout rate, like remember that hit walk strikeout ratio is meant to be like, hey, strikeouts matter, but like what are they against the walk rates? Even with such a high strikeout rate to both lefties and righties, he has like a pretty significantly high hit walk strike ratio, right? So I'm a bit concerned about that. And if God, Senzatella is so fucking bad, dude.
What is
Senzatella? He's the worst pitcher in the league. He's the worst pitcher in the league for sure.
Yeah.
But like even with like really high strikeout rates, his hit walk strikeout ratios are not good. And if you compare that as well with, the Cubs having a bad bullpen, right? Like the 4th worst bullpen in the league right now by the numbers in regards to hit walk strikeout stuff and in regards to their strikeout rates and everything like that. This game can, if it goes sideways for Ben Brown, I think Milwaukee puts up a shit ton of fantasy points.
Yeah, I don't mind them either because they steal a lot of bases and he's giving up steals too.
He's gonna walk 4 of these guys, and if he walks 4 of them and then gives up a home run to Rhys Hoskins, and then they get in that bullpen, like the Brewers are putting up 10 runs in this spot. So,
and by the way, the Brewers are walking a ton. I mean, the Brewers are.
That's another thing that scared me too. When we were talking about it, I went and looked at that, and they had like 3 guys this week with like 4
they're top 5 basically. I'm gonna just do this, which is what I do when I'm doing my pitching pool. I'm gonna go ahead and just say I'm not playing.
Yeah, Milwaukee for this spot against Ben Brown. I mean, his strikeout is only 208, but they have the lowest strikeout rate in sample. They have the most stolen bases at 73 in sample, and they have 143 walks over the last, aggregate sample, which is a mix of this year and last year. Like Milwaukee, while I understand that Ben Brown is a little bit underpriced, I like Milwaukee a lot more. I think Milwaukee's a great spot. They're not going to be owned, even though they were fucking like chalk, 2 days ago or whatever, for no fucking reason. They're not going to be owned in this spot against a pitcher who's super volatile and a bullpen that's bad. And I really do think they could put up like 10 runs in this spot.
Yep. All right, so let's talk about Wu and Hoagland. And then unless there's any other pitchers that you guys think we're missing, but I think we've gone through everybody who projects well. Let's talk about Wu and Hoagland, then we'll look at bats. So Wu's going up against Texas. Man, I love hating on Wu because he's traditionally been so splitsy, and he still is. I mean, look at his true average versus lefties and righties. But in his defense, he's been pretty darn strong. I mean, I didn't play him a few starts ago against Boston. Maybe his last start, yeah. And because they're lefty strong, right? They got Duran, they got Devers, they've got a lot of good lefties. And look, he had a great start with them. Texas, who he's going up against today, he's been good. I mean, he's been good. He's been a lot better than I thought he was going to be. And again, he's one of these guys whose price at 8,400 is not bad. Texas has been played a lot recently because they've been so cheap. They're missing Corey Seager, and they are not a good team right now. I mean, they've just been played a lot because they're cheap. They've been striking out a bunch. So I totally get why Wu projects well. At 8,400. Again, the problem with him is like, do you really? Yeah, you sort of have to convince yourself, like, am I really playing Wu for 200 less than Ray when Ray's got the Rockies? So you just have to accept that Ray may just completely burn you if you don't play them together at way higher ownership, and then you're like behind half the field. But I don't hate it. I mean, Texas. Let's see, how many lefties are they pulling out there? Smith, the ghost of Jock Peterson.
The rookie they called up is lefty too. That's
who's that?
There. He's not in the pool.
Yeah, he's not in the player pool.
Something Krim.
What's his name?
Something Krim. CRIM.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I mean, this isn't a scary team. I mean, Josh Smith and Jock Peterson are not scary with some rookie Heim and Tavares. It's not a scary team. So I think they're fine. He's fine. I just don't know that I can click on him when I've got Robbie Ray for 200 more against the Rockies. That's all.
I just what
I still don't know that I believe in him. It doesn't sound like you do either, James, based on the way you're about to respond.
I'm fine. I mean, I'm fine with Brian Wu. He's fine. I think that Texas, like if you look at the matchup sheets over on the side and you look at trending stuff, I'm pretty sure that Texas has one of the worst trending scores in the league. Yeah, 3.62. Their trending run scored is 3.62. Over the last 5 games, it's been 3.8. Over the last 25, it's been 3.4. Like they're not really a good team. Without like real heavy hitters like Corey Seager, it's just not a good team. But I mean, just from a process point of view, like why would I play 35-40% on Robbie Ray over him? I understand that, like, yeah, it's the Rockies, but I'm looking at the numbers, and the Rockies are their trending runs is 2.95, which obviously is worse, like their worst team. But for the extra ownership, I'm just kind of like, I don't know, man. I think I'd rather play Wu, and over both of them, I'd rather play Holmes. So I'm kind of looking at this stuff, and I'm like, I'm trying to
convincing yourself not to play Ray.
No, I'm trying to find reasons to play Ray. I'm trying to find reasons to lower the volatility in my lineup because I don't think that I'm going to play Skubal. So I'm like, I want to play Ray, but we keep talking through these guys, and I'm like, man, I'd rather play Clay Holmes. I'd rather play Chris Bassett. I'd rather play Brian Wu. Yeah. I'd rather play like all of these guys.
I mean, if you like didn't know anybody's name and you didn't know how good or bad they were and how good or bad the matchup was, right? Just like imagine a world you don't know who Robbie Ray is, how good or bad the Rockies are.
Sure.
Same with Brian Wu, right? And you looked at these numbers. Would you rather play an 8,600 Ray with a median of 18 and close to 19 with this 2x, 3x and this ownership?
Yeah.
Or would you rather play Brian Wu unowned with a similar range, right? And the truth is, if we're being totally honest with ourselves, it's a much harder decision than you'd like to make. I mean, What makes it even harder is the fact that we're playing in it's a 12 gamer. So yes, Ray is going to be owned, but like, there's plenty of ways to get difference with your stacks, right? So I think for large field, it's a pretty easy pivot. I think for small field, it's pretty hard.
Yeah. Yeah, you're totally right. That's a really good point.
Yeah, Wu also has like way less walk rate, I think, than Ray. So
I mean, look, to Pablo's point, if I remove their names, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably just going to play Ray. I'm going to play the guy who projects better, and I don't really care about the ownership. But like, for people who fucking know what Ray can do to your goddamn lineups,
in the first inning,
I just look at him like, man, there's so much safety in Brian Wu. I think when
this is part of why I'm playing 2 lineups because I can't do 1 bullet with Ray, and I'm not playing 2 lineups with Ray. So this is why I play 2 lineups.
Yeah, I'm gonna end up playing 3 lineups. Shout out Elite Break. I'm gonna play 3.
That's the elite break corollary.
Just play 2 fucking lineups, you dick. So one other thing that I did want to mention, we didn't really talk about Skubal being like an easy button, but how are we not going to play him in this spot against LA?
Careful with easy button.
No, I hear you, but man,
he's saying it now, bro. He's saying it now. He's not saying it after he strikes out 10.
The Angels have been fucking trash.
Are you suggesting he's the easiest click on the slate?
I'm suggesting he's the easiest to click on the slate, especially if I think he's going to be 35% owned. I think he's going to be 35-40% owned. But I mean, good God, right? The Angels, their average score over the last 25 games, 3.64 runs. Their average score over the last 5 is 2.2. Over the last 10, 2.7. Their trending score is 2.77. They have had 8 or more runs, just 8% of their total games. 0 in the last 5, 0 in the last 10. Their matchup trend is one of the worst on the entire slate. It's 2.88 runs scored. And to kick all of this, right? Like one of the cool things I do over at Paydirt is I measure ELO, right? I measure like the fragility that a stack is against the strength of the opposing pitching to find their ceiling. The Angels have a 98% correlation in that stat, meaning that 98%, basically a 1-to-1 correlation, says that they will not find a good outcome against a good pitcher. They have to be facing a bad pitcher to have a good game.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Skubal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It's weird though. I mean, I'm just going to say one thing, which is like probably a bad point because it's a good point, but it's a bad point. Which is like in the last 2 or 3 days, we've had so many incredibly like opposite outcomes. Like every chalk pitcher got beat yesterday. It's just a long way of saying that like it's baseball and weird shit happens. But by the same token, like you have to play the matchups and you have to play what is likely to happen, right? Yeah. So, this isn't like Giannis against like an undersized team, underpriced, right? This is Skubal expensive against a shitty team, but it's baseball, not basketball, where we don't have counting stats. I mean, you do have Ks, which are a counting stat, but it's not the same as basketball. So the volatility in the projection, I think, is significantly wider. But pitching, I don't know, pitching projections are pretty darn good. I mean, we're usually right about pitching. Like, we're not often like that surprised by pitching outcomes. So it'd be pretty surprising to see Skubal not go like totally crazy against the Angels.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of ways you can not play Skubal, but I also will be saying I'm way more scared of Skubal having a 12K game here and absolutely fucking nuking the slate than I am Robbie Ray. I'm way more scared of that. Way more scared.
Yeah, I mean, Ray could like walk the first 5 batters and then he'll strike out 5 and he'll give up like a stupid homer. Ray's projection is like way, way, way more fragile than Skubal.
Yeah, he's terrifying. I fucking hate playing Robbie Ray.
So let's talk about Hoglund, and then we'll look at bats. I'm sorry, I got a little distracted. Tribe is just like in the main Discord, just like making fun of us.
Fucking bad.
Appropriately, might I add. So I don't know anything about this guy. Aside from he's got a funny name. What's the story? What do you guys know about him?
He's like under a strikeout per inning.
I don't even know how to fucking spell his name.
It's just like Gunnar Henderson.
Okay, there he is. So is he like a highly projected prospect? Let's see what fantasy
was apparently. And then he had Tommy John a couple of years ago.
Okay, yeah, Tommy John. All right, and has he been good in the minors?
He's been, it looks like decent, but then like still the minors.
5.57, 5.53. So he's been striking dudes out.
All right, let me do my job here. I'm gonna.
Yeah, that's what we're kind of waiting for.
Yeah.
I can do this. This is why I get paid the big bucks over here, is for breaking down guys named fucking Gunnar Hoglund. All right, so for me, one of the things I always look at, I'm always going to first look at Arsenal, right? So fastball, slider, changeup, that's kind of his pitch mix. That's pretty prototypical. Typically, you'll see guys with a fastball, slider, and then they'll either have a curveball or a changeup, depending on how they like to try to get out same-handedness. I prefer to find guys with good curveballs because they're more consistent. Changeups end up being something that can get a little bit squirrely. So not a super big fan, especially if their changeup is not that good. So this guy, he makes all his money off his fastball slider combo. He probably does a lot of tunneling, and he had good command. Tommy John can fuck with command. See Sandy Alcantara, or however the fuck you pronounce his name, who's now terrible. As we look at the minor league stats, so one of the things that's really important to look at when you're looking at minor league stats, one, do the strikeouts stay consistent from single A to triple A? The answer here is mostly yes. Yeah, we're somewhere around, 9K per nine through the leagues. He does drop off a little bit. I would expect him to still be in that range, though. Number 2, do the walk rates start to balloon as we go up through the minors? So 1.42 up to 2.32, 3.46, 2.12. I would be willing to guess that this guy is mostly like when they brought him back here for 2025, they probably said, look, man, just stay in the zone. And I think that has been working for him, right? So what we should expect for this guy is not to be a fire starter and to be, utilizing the control that he was propped up for in his prospect report. Now, the other thing that is crucial, you should expect if somebody has a K per 9 that is below 10, they are going to be somebody who is a 5 or 6 K per 9 guy in the majors. And you can see that, right? Like we see 6.5, 6.5. The bat has 6.96. I'll take the under on that. Whatever the fuck the oopsie is, 6.5. We should expect that to be somewhere in the 5 to 6 range. Now, they can obviously have spikes, but for the most part, we're going to expect him to be a low strikeout guy. The only time that you really ever see a rookie who is like going to be worth rostering in their first year is somebody who has a K per 9 above 11 or 12 once they hit AAA. Those are the fireball guys. Those are the ones that actually have strikeout upside. This guy does not have strikeout upside. The other thing that's really important is ground ball rate. So this guy has a relatively consistent ground ball rate. It looks like he has been pretty good and consistent all the way through the minors. So we should expect him to be mostly good and consistent and a decent swingman when he gets up to the majors. But he's not going to be like somebody who we would roster if he was more than about $6,000. The only reason why we're even considering him whatsoever is because he is 4K. At 4K, these baselines, I think, are totally fine, totally justified. I'm happy to play this at 4K. But there's a really good chance that he just gets fucked up. Like, he's going to pitch to contact. He's going to stay in the zone. He's not going to walk very many guys, but there's a really good chance that he just gets fucked up here because he's not going to miss bats, and he really only has a fastball slider combo. So that's my breakdown on this guy. He's like, at any point, if he's over 6K, he's going to be too expensive. At 4K, we can play him only because he's basically fucking free. But don't expect upside. If you get 10 to 12 fantasy points out of this guy, you're stoked. But he's not going to have more than 20 fantasy points. So there's my breakdown.
Yeah. I mean, Miami, they're not like a good team, but they have some power, and people have been using them. Mike, you've used them a good amount. I mean, Mike, didn't you shit with them?
I won the second seat with them, and I won something else. I won the 50K one with them too. Both times, ironically, were Braves.
Yeah, so they're not like. I mean, they've actually gotten kind of pricey.
Stowers has actually been kind of ridiculous lately. Mervitt has just power. Edwards is strictly contact and trying to get steals. Ramirez, everybody keeps memeing on because he finally came back down to earth against the Dodgers. I mean, obviously the kid's not going to bat 700 for his whole life. But even while getting outs on the Dodgers game, those were like 106 mile an hour, like line outs to center. So yeah. Wagaman's pretty decent. Norby is okay. I think Jesus is not playing today for some reason because this manager's an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying Miami's good, but I mean, I think I get it. I mean, this is the kind of the list we've talked about, and I mean, because if you click on skew and somebody like in this range, if you skew Ray, it's going to be pretty chalky. So if like you get off skew and go to like Woo or Holmes, you're talking about using 18.6, right? So if you just drop all the way down here, I mean, you're saving yourself $4,000. I mean, at 4K, it's what you said, James. I mean, it's 4K. That's the issue. If it was 6 or 7K, you're like, fuck this. But at 4K, it's interesting. And Miami's bad enough where you can convince yourself it might be worth the risk.
Yeah.
I wish I wish he was a little more owned. I do agree with you. He's going to be more than what we've got him in. Yeah, even at like 30%. I mean, that kind of scares me off of him a little bit. I'd rather play like a real pitcher, like with Skewball, like play Woo or Holmes or even Ray if you can get weird with your bats.
So after doing that breakdown, I don't even think he has 20 fantasy point upside. He can't kill you. I don't think he can kill you.
No, it's just does he give you the bats that can kill you?
Maybe. I mean, like if you want to play the Yankees, sure. But like, man, I think that there's better lineups that you can make with like Skewball and Holmes. I mean, it like just consider Skewball and Holmes, I think, has a legitimate like 55, 60 point ceiling. Skewball and Hoagland, I think like the max that you can find there is like 45 to 50. Like I mean, as a like a realistic ceiling. So
yeah,
I don't think that extra, like, sure, 4K matters a lot. It gets you from a 2K hitter to a 6K hitter, or it gets you like the difference between a couple mid-range guys up to like Yankees guys. But I mean, there's a lot of value that we can use.
Yeah, we talked about the White Sox, right? Like
I mean, you have the White Sox, you have Miami.
You can play a White Sox mini. You can just play a White Sox mini. You can play Massey if you want. Everyone's playing him, right?
So I know we haven't gotten to bats fully yet, but you could play the Tigers too.
The Tigers? Fuck, I love the Tigers.
There's a lot of shit that you can use that you really don't need Hoagland.
I'm not likely to use Hog.
Yeah, I don't think you need him.
As much as I would love to use the puns for his name. So let's look at bats. Let's look at bats for like 20 minutes, and then we'll give people like a good little hour to build. So let's go to the sheets and let's sort the scoring percentages. And let's look at least the really good bats. Let's look at like at least the teams that A+ are like up here. So the Yankees are going up against Pepio. Man, this guy was all right for a little while. I don't know what happened. He used to be on the Dodgers, right?
I think every Rays pitcher that you were like, hey, this guy's good, gets destroyed in the same game that you say they're good.
Yeah, maybe it's because of some of it's because of the park.
Yeah,
but
some of it, yeah, but some of it's because they keep playing the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean he's not bad though. I mean the guy's not bad. He's not like a terrible pitcher.
They went from like the Yankees into the Diamondbacks and then are like back into the Yankees again.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think Pepio's bad. Does True Average disagree with me? He's kind of bad. He's a lot worse for lefties and righties. The problem is that the Yankees are good. I mean that's the main problem. So the Yankees recently they've been good. On the year they've been the best. Aaron Judge is like historic right now.
Yeah.
And Trent Grisham is pretty cheap batting leadoff. Yeah, I mean, I can't hate on it. I get it. You're not likely to play the Yankees without Aaron Judge, right? So you just have to make sure you can figure out a way to fit him in. So
especially not now, because they've dropped like aside from Ben Rice, they've kind of dropped some of the prices on some people. Like Bellinger's not 5K anymore. Jazz isn't there being over 5K for some reason. Volpe's come down a little. Wells went down a lot.
Fucking Jorbit Vivas guy.
Yeah, now there's a 2K guy you can pick who has like some small, tiny, minuscule amounts of power, and then
man, and he's at second base. Yeah, fuck yeah.
That's Jorbit. Who is he?
He's a rookie they called up that's probably going to be better than Jazz, and then we're going to be wondering what the fuck's to do after that.
You know what he is? He's a fucking gamer, bro.
Yeah.
Fucking gamer.
And he wraps right back into Grisham Judge at 2000. So.
Jorbit, huh? All right. I'm not going to waste too much time on Jorbit, but I do like his name. Man, look how young he looks. That's progressively becoming more true for me. Yeah. Is he like respected at least? I like playing respected guys. Jorbit, modest power, Small but strong. Can't hate that.
Nope.
All right. So we like the Yankees. That's fair. And they project the gods, a really good A+, not that owned. So it's hard to hate that. Next, we have Toronto. Toronto is going up against Cleveland. Oh, Logan Allen, huh? Man, I can just tell you guys already, I don't really like playing Toronto. I don't know. I probably have a bias against them I got to get rid of. But they, they've been really good against lefties. I didn't realize that. And, fifth best on the year. And in the last week, they haven't been great the last couple of weeks. Logan Allen on the year hasn't been great. He's got interesting. Oh yeah, he does have kind of reverse splits, doesn't he? He's not great against lefties, so you don't have to be worried, but they're not playing any lefties anyway. Yeah, I mean, they've been heating up. Vlad hit a homer yesterday. Santander is good. Varsho's not playing for some reason, even though he's really good.
Yeah, he's homered both the last 2 games he's played that he's been back.
Yeah, so they had to take him out. So yeah, I don't hate it. I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
I don't like them because they are going to be owned, and like you, I have a bias against Toronto, especially when they're owned. I think they're like a team that's like the Rays, that when they're owned, they just suck.
They've never won anybody.
And there's just better spots that I would pick today, other than because like if I pick them, I have to pick Bo Bichette, who seems to like not hit for power.
Here's
anymore.
how we're going to justify it. Ready? We're going to justify.
And
it
I have to pick Vlad.
10.
I don't really like Vlad ever. Springer is probably the only person I like, and then Kirk's going to be owned, so I don't like that. So
yeah, they do look owned. They're the highest owned team on the slate, and I want to play some chalky pitchers, so probably not playing them.
like if I look at them, I'm just going to play the Yankees. Like,
yeah, they are. Yeah, they're not that much more expensive than the Yankees. I mean, when you factor in the cheap Yorvik guy, and then you don't really have that anyone. You got Barger, but yeah, I guess he's pretty cheap. He's not bad at 2,200.
Yeah, I mean, I can wrap Addison Barger into, well, I guess nothing because he's batting 6th, but I can wrap that kid right back into Grisham Judge. I can pick Volpe Wells, him at the bottom. There's just, I just think the Yankees
this is more exciting.
The Yankees just have better and more dangerous players.
This is more exciting for sure. Lower ownership. Next, we have the Dyers. They are always in play. Grant Holmes has kind of unfortunately fallen back to earth. He was playable last year for a while. He has not been really terribly playable this year. In fact, he got beat up by them recently. And they played him. Didn't they play against each other like 2 series ago?
He's had a problem where he's played against all kind of good teams except for Minnesota. His first game he pitched was, I guess he only pitched 1 inning. I guess it was in relief or something like that.
It was Arizona. I'm thinking about. He got smashed by Arizona recently.
Yeah, he got smashed by Arizona. Yeah. He got kind of cooked by the Dodgers, giving up 4. Then he played the Phillies and somehow shut them down for 4 innings.
Jeez, that's a pretty bad matchup group that he's had. You're right.
7 2/3 against Toronto, gave up 3 runs. That's the longest outing I think he's ever had.
It's interesting. He gives a lot more power to righties for whatever reason.
Yeah, and then now you got to play the Dodgers, who are just coming off the free hit parade against that they had against the Marlins.
The Dodgers are just pricey as fuck, right?
Yeah, even Teoscar, Teoscar has been insane over the last 6 or 7 games.
The Dodgers are hard because you kind of you want at least 2 of these guys.
Yeah.
And you in a perfect world you want 3 of them, and that's pretty fucking hard. I mean, when everybody's priced 5.4 and higher.
Yeah, I think if you play the Dodgers,
I'm not excited to play Smith 1C. Yeah, and I'm not excited to play. None of these guys have been exciting to play. I mean, I know Page's burned you the other night, but he hasn't been exciting to play.
I mean, to be fair, all of them have been exciting to play. They're averaging 10.2 runs over their last 5 games. All of them have been exciting to play because they're all fucking scoring a shit ton of points.
Yeah, shout out George Soriano.
Yeah, to be fair, man, they're nuking slates.
Yeah, I don't know. Is the pen for Atlanta good? I'm always looking for it.
They're medium. I
Yeah,
don't
they're
think
fine.
that I don't think I would 5-stack the Dodgers today.
They're just so expensive.
They're
Fuck.
so expensive, and then I think like when you pick the people that you want to pick, you're gonna be like, damn, I got to pick this 4K idiot that's like getting called up and like might suck.
Yeah, you're probably playing Hogland if you're playing them.
And look, man, Miguel Rojas at 2,200. He's no Yorbit.
No,
He's
he's not.
no Yorbit.
Yeah.
San Francisco. So, yeah.
I know what you're gonna say. I fucking hate playing them too.
No,
I
I'm
get
not. No. I'm actually, I like playing anyone against Colorado. Like anybody. Like Colorado is an every night stack against team.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. Like they're like maybe when Dollander goes, not quite as much, or Freeland, not quite as much. But their pen sucks, and they suck. What I don't love about it is just like I was hoping they'd be cheaper. I was hoping they'd all be like 3.8 to 4.2, and they're all like
kind of are.
Meh.
Except for it's Yaz, Lee, and what's Chapman. Everybody else is I guess Flores because he's like on steroids this year.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but
Yeah, Adames
the rest of the team is like
4K.
nothing. Like Willie Adames, James ran the thing. That was another interesting thing. What didn't you say? Adames was the highest owned player.
Second highest behind Massey. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was second highest exposed in 100
Player
options
total, not even
over
just-
Roto-Grinders.
Yeah.
Yeah, Senzatella fucking blows. I mean, he does have a decent ground ball rate. If you want to say one good thing about him,
He's the worst pitcher in the league. I don't even think it's close. I think he's the worst pitcher in the league.
Yeah, he's bad. And the pen is horrific. His true average is horrific. They're just terrible. I mean, yeah, the Giants are for sure in play, and hopefully we have their fucking team by lock because they tend to do this shit where we don't have them.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I don't know that there's a whole lot else to say about them. I mean, they're in a good. I mean, anybody against the Rockies are good. It is in Giant Stadium, and oftentimes they'll single and double you to death. But the Rockies will make anybody look good. The Athletics are next. They have. This guy Belozo or Bayozo. He's been horrific this year.
He has been horrifically lucky this year. He is horrific, but he has somehow given up nothing.
Yeah, he's bad.
He's gonna get demolished soon.
Yeah, his average isn't as bad as you'd think, but he's not a good pitcher. And the Athletics have been fun. I mean, the Athletics have, Mike, you pointed it out in Discord a day or two ago that they're a playoff team right now, aren't they?
I did not point that out. I will point out that their offense doesn't suck every time.
Did that.
Every time they are mentioned, I will say that they don't suck. That's about it.
Yeah. Belozo sucked last year too, for what it's worth.
That guy's terrible, but he's just getting lucky and somehow's only given up 2 runs in the 2 starts he's had.
The thing about the A's is that they remain really affordable. I mean, they're like outside of Rooker, like nobody's that expensive.
They're giving Butler a day off because he's looked like shit outside of the 1 grand slam he hit the other day.
Yeah. Urias has even been hitting. I've used him a bunch.
Yeah.
This Kurtz kid hasn't done shit so far.
He hasn't. He hasn't done what he's projected to do.
But today's the day, boys. Today's the day that Kurtz hits a home run.
Yep.
It could definitely be for sure. So yeah, I like him. I like
Wilson leading off too. Wilson's great.
Yeah, that's been cool. So I can't hate on that. They've been good. And isn't the Marlins pen pretty bad?
Yeah.
Marlins pen is the worst in the league.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. There you go. So
first hand experience at that.
A's are nice.
They're
A's are nice, and that's why you see this 8+, and why you see this first inning and then this 5th inning, because they start to pound that pen.
Yep.
Boston. So Mike, this is I think one of the sneaky teams, because you said earlier on, don't play Ryan.
Yeah.
And the Red Sox have been fucking hot lately. I mean, they have been really hitting the ball.
7.6 points per game over the last 5, 6.2 last 10, 6.38 trending score, 3rd best in the league. Really good.
For all the
and you can see, look at Ryan's left-handed splits, right? His true average is all the way up here. Yeah. So go ahead, Mike. But I mean, he's got a lot of lefties he's facing on this team. We talked about them earlier.
Yeah, the main reason that he was such a fine play on Sunday when they played
The Angels
is because they don't possess left-handed hitters at all for some reason, except for Shonowell. Whereas I'm sure anybody that follows baseball knows that the Red Sox are basically predominantly our only good players are left-handed, except for when they got Bregman this year. Yeah, I like them to get through. When Minnesota's pen is normally good, but I think their mop-up guys, just like most people's pens, are not good. And when if they can get out of hand pretty quick, then they'll probably just throw in the towel and Boston will go nuts.
I think Boston makes a great mini. I think Boston is very similar to Milwaukee on the state. I think both of them are very similar plays.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Boston won't be terribly owned either because people respect Ryan.
They're also expensive. Yeah. It doesn't feel to play a 5,200 or whatever, like 5,300 for Bregman, 48 for Devers, 55 for Duran, $5K for Weiler Abreu. I mean, like, people don't pay those prices.
I would probably play, like, if I'm doing a mini, I would probably play like Duran, Devers, and then you could maybe slip in a cheap Hamilton from the bottom.
Yeah, you go Hamilton.
Or like Wong.
Yeah.
Back today. I think we skipped over Detroit if we're going straight down the.
No, they're next.
Oh.
I'm doing it by A+. They're tied. An A+. Oh, okay. Yeah. Detroit's got Soriano. Man, I sung his praises and the dude fucking fell apart.
Yeah.
Remember I talked about him like looking like a real pitcher this year?
Yeah, I liked him, but he has not looked very good.
He's been particularly bad against lefties.
Yep.
And yeah, he started off strong, and then his last 3 games he just fell off. To be fair, he pitched well against Minnesota. He just got beat up, but Pittsburgh isn't good. They killed him.
He pitched. If you just look at the box score, it was okay. But like I was watching the game, he was like all over the place. He had a lot of full counts.
Yeah.
He's pretty.
Man, look at these Detroit prices. The fucking
they're
like
cheap.
Fantasy sports and real people sports just refuse to respect Detroit. Like I keep saying, this team is fucking real.
3,900, and I don't know why, but
McKinstry's good. Glaber isn't getting pinched that much either.
No, he hasn't. He's actually been good against left-handed hitting. Also, I don't think that there's going to be a giant amount of pinch hit risk. The Angels are absolutely not going to bring in Reed Detmers tonight. That guy's given up 9 runs in a third of an inning in his last 2 appearances. They used Brock Burke yesterday too. That's another lefty. Even if they bring in a left-handed pitcher, they're not going to have Glaber tonight. He's apparently going to get the night off because I guess he like tweaked his hamstring last night or something. That's why he got taken out. And then they said today that he's going to have like a complete day off. So their only righties off the bench are probably going to be Ibanez and Malloy. And
Cole Keith might get pinched.
Who?
Cole Keith might get pinched.
Yeah, for Ibanez, most likely. But that's about it. And even so, he's 2,600 and you probably don't care.
Yeah, because he's going to hit a home run in the first 4 innings anyway.
Yeah, they're really strong. They're really strong. And they don't look prohibitively owned at all. I mean, look at their WebEx.
I think they're going to get forgotten because everybody's just going to jam the like Royals or Giants.
I love it when there's
I have an interesting like build I want to try to see what I can get with both Skubal and Yamamoto together. Because there's a lot of these like value teams that are.
You can absolutely do it.
Yeah, like Tigers, Giants are cheap. The Royals are cheap. The Marlins are not that crazy. And like, if I need to get the White Sox value in there to fit them with like a good team, I could probably do that too. So.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say, and this is not in any way scientifically proven, is that I don't feel like there's been a lot of double pay up wins. I mean, I have personally won always this year with at least one guy who's a pay down pitcher. But you're right. I mean, if you just don't jam, I mean, I'm not even using close to all my salary. Look what I just did because the fucking Tigers are so cheap. And so you can do something like this and just use the Yankees in a couple spots instead, you know? So there's a lot of value. I mean, there's a lot of value between the Tigers and the White Sox that we've talked about and the Giants who've got some cheaper guys, you know, and then even if you want to eat some of the chalkier Royals, there's a lot of value. I think we're going to be able to get up to skew ball and one of these guys, or even double pay up. I'm not that worried as I was at the beginning that I was going to be tempted to play Hogland. Like, I feel very comfortable that we'll be able to get your choice of skew ball or with whoever you want from this range.
I built a beautiful Yankees lineup with Holmes and Skubal.
Yeah,
Just gorgeous.
it's very doable.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about one or two more teams that we think are interesting, either from a 8+ standpoint or from a LevX standpoint, and then we'll let people go build, because I personally want to build a couple lineups as well. I think Miami is just interesting as a leverage play, because if Hogland is going to be so owned, I just think like Miami, Mike, you went through them before, but they have their share of good hitters, and there's no. Yeah, I would just say I'd be much more likely to play like a Miami mini than I would be to use Hogland on the slate. And I think it's a really interesting way to build if we think Hogland's really going to be 30%.
Yeah.
Do you disagree?
I agree. I like the I don't have a problem with the Marlins at all.
Yeah, they look like strong LevX.
I think Marlins are a little bit too expensive, to be honest. I think it's fine. But I also don't think that Hogland is like, even though I profile him as somebody who's not going to be like a good fantasy pitcher, I do think he's going to be a decent swingman. I think he's like a fifth or sixth man in a rotation kind of guy. And like on a slate this size, the only reason you consider Miami is because Hogland will be owned. So I did just want to say that. I'm not
Fair
sure.
enough.
I'm not sure that I feel good about them scoring runs. I just feel good about them.
Avoiding him. It's more of an avoid than it is a stack against.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, look at Detroit's trending. They're nice. Boston, Detroit, Dodgers. Detroit's been trending really well. I like Detroit.
Detroit might be the best play on the slate.
Yeah, they're really strong. And if they're overlooked, they're just really strong.
There's
nothing about the matchup that scares me. There's nothing about the matchup that scares me.
As I found out last night.
Yeah.
As I found out more last night that I already knew.
Anyone in this like sub 20% 8+ range that we find exciting?
The Cubs.
Who? Cubs?
Cubs.
All right, so let's look at the Cubs.
They're gonna open with Tyler Alexander now, who also is not good. Because they want to have
the Cubs have been fucking smashing.
They want to have him face Kyle Tucker, I guess, because Hap's a switch hitter, Suzuki bats right-handed, and they put Kelly fourth instead of Bush. So,
how many innings is it going to go? 1 or 2?
Yeah.
Depending on how many of those first 3 or 4 he gets out, maybe the first.
Okay. Yeah, Milwaukee's
bring in Quinn Priester.
Priester's going to be the bulk guy.
Well, he was supposed to just flat out start, and then right before he got on.
Yeah, so he'll go 3 or 4 innings by.
Yeah.
He hasn't been good. I've stacked against him a couple times.
Yeah, that guy's not good.
He's been ground ball heavy for what it's worth.
What happened?
He's been ground ball heavy, I think, for what it's worth.
Yeah, he's always been like a ground ball guy. But I think the Cubs just don't care who you are. They're just gonna mash.
Yeah,
and they don't strike out.
They are expensive. They are expensive.
Yeah, they're priced appropriately. Even Carson Kelly.
I probably would not play the Cubs on this slate.
Yeah, I don't like pen games, but the Cubs have been fucking going crazy. Seattle and Tampa have good LevX, so let's look at them, and then I think we should call it, because we need to build. Chicago, we talked about the White Sox, and they've got wonderful LevX.
Yeah.
So Seattle and Tampa. So Seattle is going up against Leiter. Seattle has been fairly hot. JP Crawford batting leadoff at 3,100 is nice.
Yeah.
He's started heating up. Leiter has been fine. Hasn't been bad. True average wise, he's been, I don't know. Let's see here. True average wise. Oh, he's actually pretty good. He's all the way down here.
He isn't walking lefties, but be walking a lot of righties.
Yeah, is he giving up power to lefties at least? No.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe not. I don't know. I like Crawford 3,100. That's really nice. So that's a nice one-off.
Polanco's
Tellez-
also been
Yeah. Polanco's been fucking. I'm convinced he's juicing because there's just no way he's that good.
Yeah, he's playing like every other day and hitting a home run in all those games pretty much.
Yeah. And then let's talk about Tampa and then anything else you guys want to close with. So Tampa, no, I'm not playing Tampa against Fried.
Yeah, I wouldn't play him against them. I think it's just like
It's
if you
just an
go
ownership
if
thing.
you're going down here for leverage, you're just going with the White Sox.
Yeah.
The only
Are we
other
missing?
team that I think is worth talking about is Milwaukee. We talked about them earlier.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Their 8+ sucks. And I understand why, because the models respect Ben Brown. But I just think that like this is such a nut spot if they take advantage of his walk rate.
And they're a team that could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a team that is pretty pays attention to the scouting.
And by the way,
report
look at
kind of
Chicago's pen.
Yeah.
Chicago's pen is fourth worst in the league right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
their non-leverage guys have been destroyed.
I mean, Chicago's pen is Colorado pad.
Yeah. I think Milwaukee, and they're not going to have any ownership whatsoever. The problem is that they are like expensive. You know, like you literally, unless you have Joey Ortiz at 2,600, you're paying a price for him. So you really, this is not a lineup where I think you're going to be able to go with Skubal like effectively. I mean, you can build around him because we have enough values that we can use like a White Sox or even Tigers. I think you can probably match Tigers with them.
Yep.
But Milwaukee, I feel really, really good about on this slate.
Same.
Yeah, it's doable. I mean, that's cue ball Holmes with a 5-man Brews and a 2-man White Sox, and Rowdy Tellez is a one-off. I mean, you can do worse than that.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, the White Sox make a lot work because Maydroth batting leadoff at 2,500 and Vargas batting third 2,800 are so cheap that they make a lot work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, we have a lot of good options on this slate. I think, I think it's one of those slates where you don't have to be playing bad players for a whole lot. I mean, from a pitching standpoint, we've got, Skew, who's really good in a really good matchup. Yama, who's going to be unowned. Probably won't get there because I'd rather just play Skew. Bassett, who's not going to be owned because people respect Cleveland, who's been really strong. And his price is kind of no man's land. Ray, who's going to be chalky. Just be ready to ride the Ray roller coaster if you play him because of his walk rate. Wu, who's not going to be very owned because he's 200 cheaper than Ray and has been strong against a Texas team that's not terribly good right now. Holmes, who's going to be underowned and underpriced. And then if you want to go all the way to Hoglund, fine, just because he's 4K, but I probably won't do it because we have a lot of value bats that we think are good. So, and then stacked we talked about our Yankees, Boston lefties. Toronto looks strong, although I don't know that I'll get to them because Logan Allen's up. Because Logan Allen's bad, and they've actually been good against lefties. Dodgers, who have been on fire, to James's point, and are expensive, so that might be a little prohibitive on their ownership. White Sox, who are cheap, good value. Milwaukee, who's kind of sneaky. Seattle, who's got some plays that are cheap, like Crawford batting leadoff against Leiter, who's not good but not bad. And then the Tigers, who we love, and then the late slate hammer, the late night hammer, the Giants against Senzatella and the Rockies pen. So there's a handful. It's kind of nice because I always tell people on big slates make it smaller, and we have effectively made it smaller, right? Like we've said, here are the pitchers we like, and the bats that we like are basically like the Yankees, the Red Sox, some A's, the Dodgers, the White Sox, the Brews, the Tigers, the Giants. Tigers, the Giants. I mean, that's it. And then just work on different combinations of those teams and build a good leverage lineup for your slate, for your field size, and win. That's simple.
Yep. Mike, you got any closing thoughts? You got any easiest click of the slate?
Aside
I know
from
who it
Gary,
is.
aside from Gary Carpenter, no.
Oh, okay.
Who'd you think I was going to say? Somebody on the Cubs?
No, for sure. Kerry Carpenter. I mean, I knew that's who you were going to say.
Oh, okay.
I would have been upset if you didn't say him.
I mean, his price is just disgusting. I don't know how he's went down. Like,
Let's make this a thing. Okay, easiest click on the slate for Mike is Kerry Carpenter. Easiest click on the slate for James is Tarek Skubal. I know that's not like crazy, but I mean, I can't find any reason not to play Tarek Skubal on this slate.
Yeah, I'm there too with pitching.
What's the easiest click on the slate, Pablo? What do you got?
Man, you guys took some good ones. Easiest click on the slate. I feel like I got to pick a bat, and I should make it spicy. So I'm going to give you one. Ready? Miguel Vargas, 2,800.
Vargas. That's fucking spicy. All right, cool. Those are our easiest clicks of the slate. Hopefully all of them crush and we end up winning.
Maybe Vivas, Yorbit.
Yorbit? There we go. Fucking Yorbit Vivas. Let's go. Yorbit.
All right, fellas. Good luck, everybody.
See you later, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Obviously, if you have not checked out PaydirtDFS.com, you should do that. Over $375,000 won for subscribers so far this year in baseball alone. Chugging along. Hopefully hit $1 million before the summer starts. But, if you have any questions, reach out to me on either Twitter or in the Discord. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Pablo. And let's go collect ourselves some trophies.